In section 9.4b, the objective will be to simplify an expression by multiplying. So we're going to be distributing here. So first thing, you do want to make sure that everything's kind of simplified here. Square root of 6, I don't think I can simplify that. So the only thing to do here is to multiply. We multiply by distributing. 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times root 6 is just 7 root 6. Root 6 times 2 is just root 6 times 2. I like to write the coefficient first, so 2 root 6. And then root 6 times root 6, that'll be the square root of 6 squared. I'm just going to write it like that first so that we can recognize that, oh, square root of 6 times square root, it's just going to be 6 because the square root and the square kind of cancel each other out. So let's go ahead and write that down, simplifying as we go. So 14 plus, notice these are like terms that we can combine together. 7 plus 2 is 9, so 9 root 6. And then the square root of 6 squared, it's just 6. Now let's see, the 14 and the 6, those are like terms, they're whole numbers. I can combine them together. 14 plus 6 is 20. So what I have left here is 20 plus 9 root 6. Which is just a number, and our objective was to kind of simplify it as far as we can, and I've done so. Let's look at another example, this time with variables. Everything's kind of as simplified as it can be inside the radical, so let's move forward on multiplying. Square root of w times square root of w, that'll be square root of w squared. I'm just going to write that down first, and then I'll simplify it later. Now, square root of w times negative square root of x. So that'll be minus square root of w times square root of x. So that'll be wx. You might want to write, or square root of wx. I like to write it in alphabetical order. So, I don't know, xw. All right, now moving on to the minus x. So minus square root of x times square root of w will be minus square root xw. And then negative square root of x times negative square root of x will be a positive, so plus square root of x squared. So these two terms, notice that the square root and the square undo each other. So this will just be w and this will just be x. I'll get to that in a moment. These two guys are like terms. Remember, if you don't see the coefficient out front, it's like an understood 1. So I've got negative 1 plus negative 1, which is negative 2. So I've got minus 2 square root of xw. And then plus square root of x squared is x. Just is what it is. Last example we'll do. This one involves numbers, coefficients, and variables. Again, notice that everything is kind of simplified inside those radicals there. So what I'm going to do, also notice, you should see that this is two terms, right? 1, 2, inside the parentheses. So it really is a binomial times a binomial. So when we're multiplying 3 root y times 2 root y, when we're multiplying, what you're going to want to do is multiply all of the factors outside of the radical together, and then all the factors inside the radical together. So this will be 3 times 2, and I'll write it all the way out like that. 3 times 2 on the outside, and then square root of y times y, or square root of y squared. Okay? That'll be first two terms being multiplied together. Now, 3 root y times negative 4 root x. So that'll be minus 3 times 4 root, and then a y and an x on the inside. I'll write them in alphabetical order again. And then moving on, square root of x times 2 root y, so that'll be plus 2 on the outside, x times y left on the inside. And our last items, square root of x times negative 4 root x will be minus 4 on the outside, square root of x times x, or square root of x squared. All right, let's see if I can simplify these things. 3 times 2 is 6. Square root of y squared is just y. Now minus 12 root xy plus 2 root xy, and then minus 4 square root of x squared is just x. Wonderful. Now I just have these two like terms that I can add together. So let's see, I've got 6y minus 12 plus 2 is minus 10 root xy, and then minus 4x. And I can't combine anything further or simplify anything more.